All right, 2022 first round Texans draft redo. When you're covering a bad football team, these are the types of conversations you have. Should they have done this? Would they have done this? And quite honestly, when it comes to hypotheticals and stuff, this is the stuff that matters the most because these are the picks that you can't miss on. Just look at Jacksonville. And I know it's early. I know we're only 10 games into the whole thing. Jacksonville is going to regret passing on Aiden Hutchinson and getting cute. And it's actually kind of remarkable that Trent Baalke was able to make that mistake. But that's something that Jacksonville is going to regret. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a very, very good NFL player. You can already see him wreaking havoc in Detroit. Who knows what Walker is? I do know the Texans wouldn't have a win if it weren't for Walker. If you want to go full circle, if Walker hadn't made that boneheaded play against the Texans and flung Davis Mills down, the Texans would be winless right now. But that's going to be something they're going to regret. And how much it sets Jacksonville back, I think it rests more so on Trevor Lawrence and how good he does. But that was definitely a mistake. And those are the mistakes you can't make when you're the Jacksonvilles and you're the Houstons of the world and you're trying to rebuild. And breaking down like the Washington game, like in the big scheme of things, I think a loss is better than a win. So these are the types of discussions you have when you're talking on a daily basis, and they're actually pretty fun to have. Let's start though with the first pick for Nick Caserio in the first round, Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley, number 3 overall. This has been a popular talking point in New York. This has been a popular talking point. Did Nick Caserio make a mistake taking Derek Stingley over Sauce Gardner? And if you gave me a time machine and I were able to make the pick, would I do anything different? Would I rather have Sauce Gardner? Would you want to have one of the top receivers, your pick of the top receiver in the draft, whether it's Wilson, Olave, Drake London, Jamison Williams? Would you rather have one of those guys? Would you like to go O-line? I think we can eliminate the O-line because I think the tackles have been really good. So I think you can, in this hypothetical, you can mark off the tackles. Receiver, knowing what you know right now about Brandon Cooks, I don't necessarily think that I would take a receiver, or I know I wouldn't take a receiver over Derek Stingley because the upcoming receiver draft is absolutely stacked. So you're going to have an opportunity there, and you still got Nico Collins. So it all goes down to the Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley conversation. And Sauce Gardner right now, he's had a phenomenal rookie year. He's got 2 interceptions. He's got 13 pass breakups. Stingley has an interception as well. He's only got 5 pass breakups. I still do not think that Nick Caserio made a mistake, and it's early as hell. But even if I could go back right now, even with how good Sauce is looking, I would not take Sauce Gardner over Derek Stingley. I think Sauce Gardner's got a better team in front of him. I think Sauce Gardner's got a better defensive coach in Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh is light years ahead of Lovie Smith when it comes to being a defensive coach. I think he has more opportunity. And I think that he's used more effectively based on his skill set. And quite frankly, I think if Nick Caserio had selected Sauce Gardner over Derek Stingley, we'd be having this same discussion. Did he make a mistake taking Sauce? I think that the scheme is something they're going to have to look at, and there's going to have to be more talent around him. So as far as the number 3 overall pick, Derek Stingley, I'm going to say no. I don't think that Nick Caserio made a mistake taking Stingley number 3. And I still think Stingley's an absolute stud. And 4 years from now, 5 years from now, you know how Robert Saleh said he's taking receipts and he's keeping those receipts, or the people who, said stuff about the Jets. Might want to keep some of those receipts from Jets fans talking about Derek Stingley. And let's see how this whole thing plays out as the talent increases on the Texans, as hopefully they get a better coach than Lovie Smith when it's, time for the nitty gritty. So keep those receipts. I'm keeping Stingley, although I do like Sauce. Number 15 is where it gets interesting. And for the sake of this, We'll stay at 15. Although if you went back up to 13 where the Texans originally were, 13, 12, whatever it was, 13, there is an interesting discussion to be had about Kenyon Green and Jordan Davis. I think Kenyon Green's going to be a good NFL player. He was out of shape in camp. He's been hurt. He's had some struggles, penalties. But I think a few years from now, we'll be talking about Kenyon Green as a good guard. Good guard. Good quality guard. Could be very good. So I'm not down on Kenyon Green like a lot of Texans fans appear to be. But having Jordan Davis on this team that struggles to stop the run, worst run defense in the NFL the last 2 years. I think they allow 181 yards per game. Next most is, I think, 159, 160. So 21 yards more per game on the run. Having Jordan Davis instead of Kenyon Green would be a pretty intriguing option. So if I could go back in time and I could make that pick, I would probably take Jordan Davis. Now, let's pretend you stay at 15 for the sake of this discussion. And let's pretend that Jordan Davis goes to Philadelphia. And now we're talking about 15 when you take Kenyon Green. Is there anything that you would rather have than Kenyon Green? The one name for me that comes to mind, and this was a guy that we liked leading up to the draft, and sometimes you have these guys in the NFL draft that you know are going to be just badass 10-year pros, and for whatever reason they slide. And whenever they slide, the team that picks them, you know that they got a steal, and you know that this guy, they're not going to regret getting this guy. And more times than not, the team that happens to is the Baltimore Ravens. Tyler Linderbaum, 25th pick to the Baltimore Ravens. I think in 3 years, we're talking about Tyler Linderbaum as being an all-pro caliber center, one of the best centers in the league, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, and a big part of what they do. So you look at the Texans center position. You brought back Justin Britt. You got Quessenberry in there. Decent backup. But when the Texans play big-ass defensive linemen, whether it's Jeffrey Simmons, whether it's big 9'7" from the Giants, they struggle. And I don't think that would be the case with Linderbaum. So between bringing back Justin Britt, him being completely exposed in one game and then not playing again and clearly being washed and having some stuff going on, and you having to throw Quessenberry out there and Kenyon Green not being ready to go, a guy who from the jump is your starting center, a very, very good center. I think he has a 98%. According to ESPN stats and info, I think it's 97.8 or something like that. Win percentage against the pass rush. Linderbaum, I think, will be the one that we look back on. And it's really not hindsight. Like a lot of times when you do stuff like this, it's hindsight. We knew Linderbaum was going to be a stud. I guess the Texans thought Justin Britt was serviceable, and he's not. So if you allowed me to redo things now, knowing what I know now, Tyler Linderbaum over Kenyon Green, that'll be something we talk about for a long, long time, because it's the difference between a really, really good guard and a guy who has potential to be the best center in the league. So that would be my redraft. What is yours? You can put it in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at Landry Locker, Instagram at Landry Locker. Again, these are the types of things that happen when you're in a rebuild. I would roll with Stingley still. And at 15, the trade back, give me Linderbaum. Give me Linderbaum. Give me that bad dude. And then we can figure out the other stuff a little bit later. Larry says Houston should have gotten Sauce. Says that Sauce is a superstar. That's the other element of Sauce. I think I heard Sean Pendergast and Seth Payne talking about this earlier this week. Sauce is a star. Derek Stingley's a little more quiet, a little more reserved, which is cool. But as far as, that star power that the Texans kind of lack, and they don't really have, those just like outgoing star power that you can put on the billboard, Sauce is definitely that guy. And Stingley doesn't really like to talk. Sauce definitely likes to talk, but they both can play ball. They both can play ball. And for the sake of this, I'm just talking about just the ball. But as far as like covering, like selfishly for me, hashtag team content, yeah. If we're talking about that, Sauce Gardner is probably at the very, very, very top. But Linderbaum would be mine. And I think Chris agrees with that. I agree. Linderbaum would have been a good pick. Yeah. I don't know how he slid to 25 to Baltimore, but it's funny how that always seems to happen. Those guys just fall into Baltimore's lap. As the week goes on, we'll continue to give you and by we I mean I'm used to being a team on Sports Radio 610 10 to 2. But we'll continue to give you. I did it again. I did the token white guy thing where you say we when it's just one guy. Goodness gracious. Goodness effing gracious. But yeah, I'll continue to give you that content, and we'll keep this thing going. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Pass it on. Juan says his arms being too short is YFL, which was stupid as hell. By the way, a center being the short arms. I kept hearing that. I really don't care. And I don't think Baltimore cares right now. And I don't think the rest of the league should have cared. The short arms, the center, y'all saw the guy play in college, and now there he is. But I think Kenyon will be good. I think that Sauce will be good. And who knows? Hopefully, Nick Caserio continues to hit on his draft picks because he has to. I can't afford to screw it up like Jacksonville did, but we'll see. All right. Appreciate y'all. Remember, no matter how bad things are, we're in this together. Follow me for Houston sports updates. Download the Odyssey app Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, Sports Radio 610. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. A little more extended tomorrow. Today, just a little bit of a thing. I wasn't going to break down the whole Washington game because we need to lose. Although Sean Pendergast said today, I'm not wired that way. I can't root for them to lose. Give me a break. Lose. We need it. Need a quarterback. Later.